What's going on, guys? It's your boy Anthony back with another edition of the Fourth Man, and it's crunch time, baby. And we're heading into week 8, the final week of the regular season. What a whirlwind of a year it's already been in the Big Three this summer, but also too just kind of sad a little bit. We're already coming up on week 8. Like, it's definitely an exciting time because we're about to hit the playoffs. Obviously, we're about to potentially be crowned a new champion. Trilogy's still in the hunt, so can't say so just yet, but at the same time, this has been the best season that we've ever had in the Big Three. And for it to, you start seeing some of the teams falling out of playoff contention and some of the best players in this league that are new to the league, Gerald Green, Michael Beasley, guys like that. It's exciting, but at the same time, it just is it's sad to not see that they're going to be playing the rest of the year, but hopefully we get all those guys back and some other big names next year. That's not what we're talking about today, though. We're talking about week 8, heading into week 8, and recapping week 7 a little bit. It was a little bit easier in terms of playoff scenarios based on how everything went down, so that's a good thing. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to get you ready for week 8 and the playoffs and what to expect from there. And we're also going to have another dope interview from someone who's going to be playing in the playoffs already, so maybe that's a little hint here on the back end. So make sure you tune in for all of that. Before we get into it, as always, if you're not already following the show, make sure you're doing so on all our social media platforms, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. It's at Fourth Man Pod. That's 4TH Man Pod. You can also find the visual version of the podcast on YouTube, youtube.com/Fourth Man Pod. And for those of you tuning in on the Nothing But Net channel on Dash Radio, we appreciate you guys, as always, tuning in on Saturday or Monday, whether it's the day of the games or leading up to the next week or getting a recap of the previous week. So appreciate you guys, and let's hop into it. Week 7 featured 3 games. Again, we had 3-headed monsters and aliens get the bye, and we had teams essentially fighting for their lives. Now, if you tuned into last week's episode, you'll be very familiar that I was trying to break everything down in terms of the situation, how everything could play out. And I did so probably in a very confusing way, because in reality, I was confused myself. I was trying to figure out with you guys. I could have used some insight from any of you guys. Maybe I should have posted more clips about it and got some of your help. But nonetheless, the teams that were 4-2 made it easy for us. We had Killer Threes win a wild one against Threes Company, ultimately ending their season. And then Trilogy not letting Ghost Ballers get a large lead, ultimately for them to have to make a crazy comeback, but instead ended up blowing out Ghost Ballers and taking care of business to move on. So Killer Threes and Trilogy moving on to the playoffs. I'll talk about why that's weird in a second. Obviously, we also had Power and Tri-State, the battle of 2 3-3 teams going at it. I thought one of the teams was supposed to be out of playoff contention. It seems like that still is the case. Like, it doesn't make sense why, after Tri-State loses. And again, they got blown out even with Jay Ridge this time in a rematch against Power from week 1. But it wouldn't make sense for Tri-State to still be in contention, but yet somehow they're still playing this weekend, even at 3-4. But Power ultimately winning that one with a chance to make the playoffs as well. Really not too, we had only 3 games. One of the 3 were good, and that was the first game. It was Threes Company and Killer Threes. And I had predicted Threes Company to win. I kind of feel like they blew it a little bit, but also too, like, you can just never count out Killer Threes. Like, they are really those dudes. They have really built their own sense of culture. I don't know if it's just because they've had the same captains in place for 3 years. It's just a team they have this season, but like the leadership of like Frank Nitti and Dante Green and Josh Powell, the head coaching by Charles Oakley, and then the squad they brought in with Dominique Johnson, KJ McDaniels. Like, that's a tough squad that continues to get better week in and week out. And despite Threes Company having an incredible first half from Michael Beasley scoring 21 points, I thought they would have continued to go with the Beasley ball. In the second half, they didn't. I think he scored 4 points in the second half, had way less shots. They went to the style of play that's been winning them games, so you can't really blame them in that regard. But ultimately, it wasn't enough. Killer Threes they just wanted it more, honestly. They had, I think, 11 offensive rebounds in that game, especially some critical ones down the stretch and down to the final moments. We saw Frank Nitti get a critical offensive rebound after Dominique Johnson missed the the first three that didn't go in to win the game. He got a critical offensive rebound, passed it back out to Dominique Johnson, and he pulled it, and ultimately they won it off that one. That would have been huge. We saw missed opportunity, I think, where Julian Wright had got an offensive rebound on a Mario Chalmers miss off an and-one, and he couldn't put that one back up. So there were some opportunities there for Threes Company to extend their season, ultimately make some things confusing down the stretch, but they didn't do so. And so now we're in a position where Killer Three's in the playoffs. Trilogy took care of business, like I said. Great games from Earl, Clark, and Amir Johnson. That's a duo that we haven't seen play out, or I guess play well in the same games. Let me rephrase that. Maybe the better way to put it is that we haven't seen them connect like we did against Ghost Ballers. I mean, they had everything going. They were really putting a lot of attention on Earl Clark, and ultimately every time they had one guy jump or a couple guys shading his way, he was just dumping it off to Amir, and Amir was making the play. So chemistry looks good there heading into the playoffs. Let me give you some final scores here, because it was Killer Threes ultimately winning against Threes Company 50-48. Again, Dominique Johnson had the game of his life. Shout out to DJ. Comes on the show, gets to bring out his daughter from the tunnel, which he was really excited about before the game, and then goes and balls out. Like we talk about Michael Beasley and his shooting performance, his in-game performance, especially in that first half. But Dominique Johnson had an equally good game, if not better, because they ultimately won, and he is a game winner. Especially in that second half, he was getting any and every shot to go. And I think at the end, Killer Threes, I think Nitty mentions this somewhere. I don't know if it was on his own Instagram page or in a post-game interview, but DJ was a hot hand, and they wanted to get to him, and they told him at the end, go ahead and take that game-winning three, despite being down 48-47 late. I mean, that was back and forth affair where teams were just trading leads, and ultimately I think Killer Threes was like, fuck it. Let's go ahead and get this dub. Let's get this win. DJ has not been missing. He missed one and then a little $2 for $1 situation, and, banged it in. 50-48 win. Ultimately, that ends Threes Company's season. I missed on that one. I thought they were going to be the best team coming into this year. And I think at times they did look like that. So, it's not totally crazy to think, because Michael Beasley had what I think is going to be an all-star season. But it just never – I don't think they found the chemistry or the style of play they wanted to that was going to be successful for them early on. And ultimately, they were playing from behind on the stretch a little bit. Falling 1 and 2 is huge in the big three, where we've seen with Killer Threes, you can't really lose too many games, especially not in that situation. So ultimately, Threes Company done for the year. Same with Ghost Ballers. After a 2-0 start, Mike back. They just fell off a cliff, it seems like. It might have even been a 3-0 start. Let me check this real quick, because for the second straight year, it looked like Ghost Ballers was going to be a hard team to beat. It was really, so they did start 2-1. Ghost Ballers, they're in week 3, lost to Trilogy when Trilogy went on that 22-5 run in the second half to ultimately win that game. I mean, that would have been huge for them to go 3-0. And I think I remember saying, in fact, I do remember saying in an earlier episode after week 3 that was going to be a huge loss for them. It could potentially put them out of playoff contention right then and there, because of how critical it is to go 3-0 and rather than 2-1, especially for a team like Ghost Ballers, who I think there's a little bit of sense of urgency in every game you play, because you want to make the playoffs for the first time since year 1 so bad, and for a lot of these guys on Ghost Ballers for the first time. So Ghost Ballers season's over, unfortunately, despite a good season for Mike Taylor and Chris Johnson. Despite putting together a good team, tough losses for them. I mean, 2-point loss to Killer Threes in week 4, after the 50-47 loss to Trilogy in week 3. Then they went on to play Threes Company, where Threes Company found their groove and blew them out 50-36. And then they end up beating Triplets and then falling flat, and the most critical game of the season, 50-35. So let's go back to what I was saying at the beginning. It's so weird. First off, congrats to Killer Threes and Trilogy. They've apparently clinched a playoff spot. Why I think it's weird, and the reason I'm saying it like that, is because Aliens got to move on. They essentially had a bye from week 7. Yet the 2 teams that actually played in week 7 already clinched a playoff spot, and Aliens is fighting for a playoff spot against Power this week. I mean, I know the Big 3 is all about innovation and changing the game, but that right there is something that's, I don't think, ever happened in any kind of sports league, where a team gets like you would think the teams that got a bye had already clinched a playoff spot. They got a free win. Aliens got a free win to move on to week 8, only to still be fighting for their playoff lives in the last week, whereas Killer Threes and Trilogies secured their like, you know, their playoff position. I find that odd. It is what it is at the end of the day. I mean, like if you think about it, like they are all 5-2, but you're telling me that if, let's say, like Killer Threes or Alien, or let's say like Trilogy loses and Aliens loses, that Trilogy still secures that spot? Are we going off like, because it seems like the reason Aliens got the bye in the first place was because they had the win over Trilogy and Trilogy had the win over Killer Threes. But it seems like if Aliens loses and Trilogy loses, Trilogy is just going to lose playoffs positioning, where Aliens is going to lose that, you know, entirely. Their season's done, and that's going to be essentially Trilogy is going to be favored to make the playoffs because I guess point differential at this point, where they've gotten to play an extra game. I mean, a lot of that's like kind of questionable to me. I ultimately, like, you know, Aliens can decide their own destiny. I mean, you know, beating Power, but Alien, and this is not me advocating for Aliens by any means. Like the best teams will obviously get in, but like I don't know. It puts Aliens in a tough position where I feel like if I was the Aliens team, I would rather just played week 7 and just saw what happened, and then gone into week 8 and said, okay, we have one last chance, right? Like I feel like that would have made more sense. I realized the teams didn't add up necessarily there. Like it would have been better if Bivouac actually got that win against Killer Threes, because maybe you could have done something like that, like adding an extra team to play this week and just gave three-headed monsters the only bye. But it's just interesting to me. I don't like, you know, personally for me, like Aliens Power, like I definitely think Power has the advantage. I don't think Power's a good matchup for what Aliens is trying to do. But at the same time, like the last game they played was against Power, so you kind of know what they're going to try to do and how they're going to try to stop it. So maybe you have the advantage there. Bullet had the best game of the season in that one, so maybe you hope to get, after a week off, you hope to get another great performance from Bullet. But I think ultimately, and I'm gonna try to put a post out about this the day of the game, so tomorrow. But I think ultimately the X factor in this one is Carlos Las Manas. I mean, I'll put some stats with it, but the guy has struggled after getting off to a pretty hot start early in the season, when, you know, they've only lost 2 games, but early in the season they won every game with them. The only game they had lost is the game that he had missed. And then the past few games he scored 4 points, 5 points. He's struggling to shoot from behind the line. And I think last game against Power, we saw Rick Mahorn go to the lineup of Bullet, Stevens, and Thomas Ivashev because Las Manas is struggling on offense. Not so much because of his defense, but he's just having a tough time on offense. And so I think they're going to need Las Manas to get back to his ways from the beginning of the year, be able to space the floor a little bit better, knock down some of those shots, become a threat. And that way, that's only not going to help Aliens, but also going to help his game, where he's going to be able to drive to the basket, score some easy ones, or dish it out if he needs to, because he's, in all honesty, like a really good second facilitator on that team. So we'll see. But yeah, I know I kind of like segued without saying I was segueing, going into like kind of a week 8 preview, going from week 7. But yeah, in week 8, I think the game that really matters is just going to be that Aliens Power matchup. On the flip side of that Aliens Power matchup, while we're already talking about it, like I think they just need to do what they did last game. I mean, I think you hope for maybe Glenn Rice to score more than 7 points, but he did a great job distributing last time. And I think Royce came out and kind of set the tone for that team. They couldn't stop him down low. They had no answer for him. And every time they thought they had an answer, he was, you know, the dude's got eyes in the back of his head. He's one of the best passers in this league. And so every time it looked like they were going to stop him, he was able to dish it off to somebody. I think we saw the emergence of Skittish Feely in the first matchup against Aliens. You know, I think he's done pretty well the past couple of weeks. So you hope to have that back. But I think ultimately for them, like Aliens will kind of prepare for what they did wrong last time and hope to exploit that this time around. And I think you're going to need a big game from Glenn Rice. I don't think Power gets it done with him scoring 7 points. And being the main distributor in this one. And hopefully, you know, you have a couple big shots from Cat, which you always hope to have in any kind of Power game for sure. So that's going to be really the game that matters. That one's going to be sandwiched in between Trilogy and Killer Threes. rematch, and then Three-Headed Monsters and Tri-State. So let's talk about the other thing that doesn't really make sense to me, and that's I could have swore that the Power Tri-State game meant that one team was moving on and what team was going home. But I read the recap article on the Big Three's website, and somehow Tri-State is not eliminated. I think there's no way. There's no way they're not eliminated. The team sits at 3 and 4. Okay, so there's a couple things wrong with that, right? One, if they get a win, they're going to be 4 and 4. The 3 teams that already already have 5 wins, and Power and Aliens are both sitting with 4 wins right now. So whoever gets the win is going to have a 5th win. There's no way Tri-State can get a 5th win, right? So that automatically would exclude them. Secondly, the league came out and said that the whole reason for them eliminating the other 4 teams was that every team that gets into the playoffs is going to need 5 wins. So how is Tri-State not eliminated? I think at this point it's more so like, I don't want to say like purposely confusing everybody, just so there's another team for Three-Headed Monsters to play. But I think it's more so like, you know, if Three-Headed, you know, just see how it gives Three-Headed Monsters an opponent for this week and who else to pick, then I guess, I don't know how they determined it was Tri-State, but it was Tri-State because the other teams had to be win or go home. And at that one, it made more sense for them to be winner or go home. I don't know, but it really does make sense. Again, I think they just need an opponent for Three-Headed Monsters to determine playoff positioning. You know, they actually got an extra win last week, so they're sitting at 6 and 1. I guess if they lost, and like let's say Killer Threes won, I guess Killer Threes would get the number 1 seed. I'm sure they'll have that all listed out when they air the game tomorrow. But that would make the most sense, right? Because they would have the playoff differential there. But it's just weird. Like if I'm Tri-State, I'm thinking, what? You know, how is that going to play out? How is that going to work? If we look at the standings right now, because Aliens got an extra win too, right? So they already have 5 wins technically. They're sitting at 5 and 2. They're second in the standings right now. It's almost it doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me. Make it make sense, please. I know this is a growing league. I know they were trying to figure some things out, but that doesn't make sense to me. So they have Aliens currently sitting in the 2 seed at the moment, but the 2 teams below them, Trilogy and Killer Threes, have clinched playoff spots. I don't know. A little confusing to me. Well, all I'm really trying to lay out here is that Tri-State is eliminated. And not to mention the fact, I don't know how Tri-State is the 6th seed, because Ghost Ballers actually has a better point differential than Tri-State does with the same record. So if anybody's going to have like a quote unquote chance, shouldn't it be the team that's got the same record with a better point differential? I don't know. This is me just trying to figure it out. But ultimately what I'm trying to say is that the Three-Headed Monsters game, the only thing that you need to worry about in that game, to think about in that game, is if Three-Headed Monsters win and by how much they win by. If they lose, you know, honestly, because ultimately it's just to see, are they going to get another blemish on their record, or are they going to go into the playoffs with that number 1 seed? That's all that matters here. In the other games, Trilogy and Killer Threes, all about position seeding. And really where it's going to matter for Killer 3, if they win and Three-Headed Monsters loses, they have potential to be a number 1 seed and potentially play whoever the 4 seed is, right? Like, so it could ultimately determine who you end up playing. I think for Trilogies, it's kind of the same case there. I'm trying to think, did Trilogy and Three-Headed Monsters play this year? I don't know if they have, but I think it's the same scenario there. Like if Trilogy wins, Three-Headed Monsters loses, they could have the number 1 seed going into the playoffs. And that could, you know, depending on things stack up, it could greatly determine who you end up playing in the next week. Like if you're flip-flopping between 2 and 3, it's not going to matter too much. But if you're flip-flopping, you know, somewhere between the 1 and the 4 seed, I don't know. It's all about playoff position. Everyone knows how playoff positioning works at this point. I'm just trying to think of the other possibilities. If Three-Headed Monsters wins, I mean, it's really just going to determine like who's going to play each other in that 2-3 game, and then who's going to end up playing for against Three-Headed Monsters there. So Trilogy and Killer Threes fighting for playoff positioning, Power and Aliens fighting for a playoff spot, and Three-Headed Monsters and Tri-State. Well, Tri-State's playing for nothing at this point, to be a spoiler maybe, not much of one because three-headed monsters are in the playoff. Three-headed monsters is fighting to keep the number 1 seed. So again, playoff positioning. So that's what you need to expect in week 8. I think the focus, and if you're going to catch any of these games this week, because I still think these are going to be good games. Like, listen, like three-headed monsters, or I'm sorry, Killer Threes and Trilogy, that's become like an intense rivalry. I think, especially over like the past few seasons. Obviously, these are 2 of the OGs of the league, so there's some, some history there. But I think over the past few seasons, this has become like kind of a heated rivalry. Killer Threes beat them in week 8 of last year. We saw Killer Threes and Trilogy matchup in week 1 of 2021, and kind of a heated game there. We saw them play a little bit earlier this year in another close one. And so I think, this is kind of I don't know what's after a trilogy, a quadrilogy. I don't think there's really a thing for that. But nonetheless, this is their 4th matchup. Their trilogy has the upper hand currently over the past 2 seasons at 2-1. And I think for both these teams, they just want to come out and win and get, put their team in the best position that they possibly can. I think that's what you're ultimately trying to do at the end of the day. I don't think it really matters too much about like being the 2 or 3 seed. There's no positioning for. I really don't even know if it matters for the 1 and 4 seed. I mean, obviously, it's like just factors who you're going to play, but there's no like home field advantage or anything. So it's all about just who you're going to play. But I think that Killer Threes and Trilogy game will be really good. And I think the Three-Headed Monsters Tri-State game could be really good as well, because Tri-State probably a little pissed that they completely lost control of that game the last time they played Three-Headed Monsters, but probably just want to end the season on a win and play a little bit of spoiler in some sort of fashion. But the game of the day should be Power and Aliens. Last time Power beat Aliens in week 6, 51-43, and now we get a chance to see them play again. This is a bigger game for Aliens. Let's put it that way. Like, Aliens as a franchise, I know none of these guys were on the team before outside of Rick Mahorn, who coached last year, but this franchise has never made the playoffs. Power's a team that consistently makes the playoffs and that's never finished under 4-4 and won't do so again. But it's got to mean more for Aliens. I think it's means more for the league as well if Aliens gets in. So we'll see. We'll see if they can get it done. It's going to come down, I think, to Carlos Las Manas having a really good game. But I think you're also going to need good games, obviously, from the rest of your guys. But I think Las Manas is X factor for Aliens, whereas Glenn Rice Jr. is going to be the X factor for Power. And again, I'm going to make a post about that the day of the game, and I'll include some statistics on why I specifically think that's the case. But should be a good one. I don't know. I feel like there's been kind of a fluctuation of my mood and throughout this episode. So apologies in advance if I'm just a little bit scatterbrained and everywhere. Again, this is a growing startup league, so I'm always just trying to figure things out. And sometimes, I prepare for every show that I do, but at the same time, I'm also just kind of thinking on the fly about different scenarios as I'm like saying it out loud. A lot of these are like intrusive thoughts when I'm planning things, but when you say it out loud, you start to think a little bit more. Hopefully you guys can relate to that. So it's me trying to figure it out. It's also me wanting feedback from the rest of you guys who listen to the show, who watch the show, on if you have another thought that I haven't pointed out. I feel like I've laid it out. I think it's pretty clear at this point on what's going down, but if there's other factors that you think could, influence how these games go, or there's different scenarios I didn't think of, whatever the case may be, like, I'd love to hear those thoughts, whether they come via like YouTube or social media, whatever the case may be. So there you have it. There's week 8. The first week of the playoffs will be in Tampa. So it'll be the top 4 teams, and then the top 2 teams will be in Atlanta playing for the championship. But that's going to be the end of the first half of this show. I appreciate everyone who's tuned in today. Coming up, we do have an interview, as you've probably already seen through the title, but we have an interview with Quincy Miller of Three-Headed Monsters. He's been a late addition to the team. Honestly, very surprised he wasn't drafted, but nonetheless has been very impactful for the Three-Headed Monsters team that we, at least on the show, we somehow continuously count out despite them making the playoffs every year, despite them continuing to do what they do, and that's win ball games and make the playoffs and put themselves in a position to potentially win a championship. And so get to talk a little bit with Quincy Miller on just kind of his Big 3 career, what he likes about it, and how he played in the TBT and the Big 3 at the same time. So really good conversation with them. I just felt like it was just very kind of more conversational than maybe some other interviews have been, where I feel like maybe I'm just kind of throwing 20 questions at them and they're answering with the best of their ability. But this one just felt a little bit more conversational. So I really enjoyed the time with Quincy Miller. Again, thanks to everyone who tuned into this first half of the episode. And let's get to our interview with the man, Q Miller. Right. All right, cool. Okay. Well, today on the show, we're excited to bring on a second-round pick of the 2012 NBA draft and current three-headed monster, Quincy Miller. Again, bro, I appreciate the time and welcome to the show.
You already know, man. Appreciate you having me, big dog.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I've been wanting to talk to you sometime because I felt like you were in the midst of a breakout when you got injured last year when you were playing for Bivouac very briefly. And then obviously this what you've done with three-headed monsters has been incredible. A big reason why you guys are 6-1 at this point. But let's talk about just kind of like you've had a long professional career to this point. So we're going to try to paraphrase it into a little bit, but kind of the career leading up to the Big 3, because for you, man, it's been interesting. Like most of the people that come on the show, obviously they've had great careers. A lot of them have been overseas, but you had a lot of success in the NBA. You've also balled out overseas. I would love to understand kind of like, your NBA journey, and then ultimately what led you to the decision of actually going to play overseas.
Where you want me to start at?
Just kind of your NBA journey and your NBA experience, like candidly, how was that? And then like ultimately, was it something in the NBA that led to your decision playing overseas, or was it more so just the timing of, when you need to kind of expand your game and maybe yourself?
Yeah, I mean, my time in the NBA was wonderful, bro. You know what I mean? I feel like it's the best league in the world. I mean, as far as everything goes, it's the best players. You know what I'm saying? Well, I ain't gonna say the best players, but there are a lot of great players in the league. You know what I'm saying? And it's just fun. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just straight basketball, straight hoops. I just love it. And the league is a brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? And they take care of you. So I really respect the NBA. So I got 10 out of 10, man, for me. For sure.
For sure. And like you're someone who had success in the NBA, especially during your time with Denver. Obviously it's all about right place, right time.
Yeah.
And for you, I think you were traded to the Nets, and then you're playing with the preseason a little bit, and then ultimately you said, I'm gonna go play overseas. What led to that decision ultimately?
Because the situations that I kept getting into, you know what I'm saying? Like I went to the Nets, which I knew I was gonna be there. They already had 17 guys paid, you know what I'm saying, for sure. And I was like 18, young guy coming from Denver, you know what I'm saying? I'm playing behind Joe Johnson, Bargnani, who already got their money already. So it's like, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I was Detroit. I was doing well for Detroit. Got traded with the Steve Blake and Spencer trade. And and I just kept trying to get I mean, not even I won't even call it the short in the city, just the business things. And you know what I'm saying? I was in those situations. So it is what it is. I'm not crying over spilled milk, but after that, I was just like, yeah, bro, let me try something different. Man, I really want to play, bro. Like, I love basketball so much. You know what I'm saying? That I want to play and like really try to get some time. So I had a EuroLeague team. I know EuroLeague was, I feel like another outstanding league. It's like that's the NBA of year for me. You know what I'm saying? But so I took the opportunity and I think I played well. I was all EuroLeague. You know what I'm saying? So that's pretty cool. That's a hard status to get as an American. You know what I'm saying? So it's fire. I got that under my belt. So that's what ultimately led me to going overseas.
Yeah, that's dope, man. And I think your love for the basketball, your affiliation for basketball, like showcases, when you're willing to kind of take a step back and try a new environment, especially somewhere like overseas. For you, what do you feel like you learned about yourself, even now, maybe during your time overseas, and how do you think your game has expanded, or maybe even developed since you made that jump?
I just learned a lot about myself from being overseas, honestly, and They helped me mature a lot, and they helped me become more cultured and know that American ain't the only way, and they helped me become more open minded to different things. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it's like it's made me become less judgmental as a person, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's like mentally and as a person, I've grown so much, I think. And as a player, for sure, it's just more physical, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, for sure, more physical, bro. Like, I had like
Mhm.
14 stitches this year in my
Man.
face, you know what I'm saying? But um my game is expanded just my shooting, bro. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't a crazy knockdown shooter ever, like, you know what I'm saying? But now I'm gonna knock that much. I'm gonna knock it down. You feel me?
Yeah, we've seen that.
Yeah, I'm gonna knock it down if I'm open for sure. You know what I'm saying? And even if I'm not, I'm gonna try to. But like literally becoming a better shooter, becoming a better defender. And I am a good defender. People don't never talk about my defense or give me any credit, but I am a good defender as well. And I feel like I picked that up from being a year more so than anywhere else.
Man, that's dope. And one thing I just came to my head and thought of, I feel like a lot of times when we talk to people that have played overseas a lot, like there's a lot you got to adapt to. You're kind of on your own out there at times. You might know a guy from, here or there as you continue to gain more experience. But for you, like I've seen your artwork. You're a dope ass artist.
Yeah,
Seems like you like
thanks,
to
bro.
draw and paint and stuff.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you developed as like in that hobby or passion too? Maybe being overseas when a
No,
lot.
honestly, man, I had for 2 years I didn't play within like my well, not a 2 year, like a year and a half within like I didn't play like because I had got injured. And this was like it was Maccabi. I had got injured and I took like a year and a half off. And I just one of my friends taught me how to paint. I knew how to draw already, but my friends taught me how to paint. I just was like, damn, I could really do this. You know what I'm saying? So I just started trying new stuff.
Man, that's crazy. You make it sound so simple. It's I guess if you have like an eye for drawing already, like painting just kind of comes naturally though.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, cool, cool. That's dope, man. So obviously, like I said, long story career. You're at the point where now you have an opportunity to play stateside again. I think the question we always ask, because this isn't your first rodeo in the Big Three, mentioned your
Yeah,
time with Bivouac a little bit, but how did you ultimately
yeah.
find out about the opportunity to play in the Big Three, and what led to you to be like, hey, this might be cool. Let me try this.
Honestly, I went to the combine and I thought I did pretty well. It was weird that I didn't get picked, but like I said, I don't cry wish well. Look, it is what it is. Went to the crib, kept working on my game, and then one day, CJ, CJ, our the coach, hits me like man, I think it was the second week, and it was like, man, you want to come play? I'm like, why not? Like, I ain't doing nothing, bro, and I love
Yeah,
hoop, you know what I'm saying? So why not? And then it really came from Rashard Lewis, though. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. And it's been a great fit for Three of the Monsters. Honestly, it's pretty crazy because like you got to be a part of like I, I guess the way to put it is like kind of an infamous bivouac team. Like there was just a lot of moving parts. Like captains were getting hurt, coaches were missing games. And it just felt like there was never like a solidified.
Yeah, stable situation, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
mean, that's a part. That's sometimes that happens, bro, for sure. Like it's a thing that happens, and that's a thing that happened to me. You know what I'm saying? But I was trying. Really, what happened? I was trying out some new kicks. They felt good one day. I hooped in them, and I tried them out the next day, knowing that they was low cut, sprained my
uh,
ankle.
mm-hmm.
So just trying out something new, you know?
Yeah, you were in the midst of a kind of a breakout there, kind of like showcasing. You should have been drafted probably that year. Surprised you weren't drafted this year based off that game. I mean, you had 19 points at the time. You're leading
Yeah,
Bivouac to that first win, so it's pretty wild. Again, very surprised you weren't selected this year. Like you said, you went to the combine, did well. Also had a really good game with Bivouac last year. Got to see like that glimpse I said. This year, you got picked up, immediately came in and made an impact. Been a little bit more vocal this year. Do you kind of come in, or I guess what is your mindset coming into this year when you did get picked up? I know you love hoops and everything, but at the same time, like, it's pretty shocking that you weren't even like you weren't even drafted right out the gate, in my opinion.
yeah. I mean, honestly, it was just I don't know. I didn't get picked, so I want to go at the guys that did get picked. I mean, I'm happy. I'm listen, man. I love when people get picked up. Yeah. Yeah, but I have definitely been more vocal this year for sure. I don't know. I just feel like I'm just being myself, bro, at this point. That's all.
That's cool. Do you feel like that
Yeah.
is kind of the first time in hoops that you've been able to do that? Is that maybe so like just kind of I'm sure a part of it might be like mindset or a chip on your shoulder, but at the same time, if you feel like you're just getting to kind of enjoy it and have some fun too.
Yeah, now I'm just enjoying it, having fun, having a blast, bro. That's it. Anything less than that, I can't do
I feel that. Man,
it.
it's been cool to see that too. Like I think that's the one thing
Yeah.
about the big three that's dope is kind of allowed to be yourself a little bit more. You know, there's less restrictions on what you can say or what you
Yeah,
can do.
right. And the big three is just fire, man. I like everything about the big three, for real, honestly. It's cool. It's fun.
Is there anything specific that you feel like that kind of that weight is lifted off your shoulder or like that you enjoy about it that made you want to come back and like, you know, try to be a part of it again this year?
Like the camaraderie, like the guys, everybody like not on the court though. Nobody is really like, nah, there ain't no dapping up, all that. No. You know what I'm saying? But outside of that, it's just like, it's a brotherhood, man. Everybody respects each other, you know what I'm saying? I'm sure people played against each other in different places. So everybody cool, like shoot, like last week myself, I sat down with Coutinho Mobley at the pool, just randomly. I know he's a legend, bro. Like he has a
Mhm.
lot of knowledge, you know what I'm saying? And I just picked his brain, asking him personal questions about his situations and different stuff, you know what I'm saying? And he gave me a lot of advice, bro, like 2 hours, 2 hours worth, but that's something that couldn't happen if I'm just, I'm wandering around and. So that's just like it's like good about the big three, and then they take care of us in the best way possible. So we really appreciate Cube, man, everything the big three does. So for sure.
Man, that's really cool you say that. I think that's an underrated part about the league is that like you
Mhm.
can really soak up a lot of knowledge and be educated by some of the people that have had success in the league or just in the game in general. Like not just the players, like you mentioned, like Cat's a legend, like you said, but like there's actual legends like coaching you guys. Like that's pretty
Yeah,
nuts.
exactly. Bro, it's crazy. I get to see these people every day, bro. Lisa Leslie, bro. What? Yo,
Yeah,
what? Bro, it's crazy, bro. Like, it's crazy, bro.
it's kind of crazy too. You
Dr.
gotta,
J, I
yeah,
get to shake these dudes' hand on a regular, bro. That's like, it's crazy, bro. It make you want to hoop. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, damn,
yeah,
bro. Like, Dr. J, bro. Like, all right, bet. Rick McHorn, bro. Like, all right, bet. Like, real big dogs. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. And two, like it's pretty crazy. You got Coach Theus as your coach, like
Yeah,
again this year. What's been the
yeah.
relationship between you and Coach Theus, you know, and your time in the Big Three?
See, I mean, at Bivouac, my first game last year, I ain't know the rules, bro. I ain't know what the hell is going on. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I was just like confused, and Coach Diaz didn't really know me. So when the second game, when I started playing, I'm just like, bro, like, don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, he was trying to tell me, and Coach Diaz is a very specific, very intelligent, and very like good coach. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't know, you know what I'm saying, nothing about me. So he didn't know I could shoot threes. So he kept trying to tell me like, go bang, and I'm like, bro, I'm finna pull up. Wait, coach. Like, I'm finna pull up. Just wait. And I hit a tray, and I'm looking at him like, bro, look, bro, I'm a shooter, and I go to the cup too, but I'm not a banger, man. You know what I'm saying? So we got that type of relationship. It still happens sometimes, but he a good dude, man. He just want the best for us. He try to put us in position. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm happy for him, like to see him like winning, you know, because like he's like a very experienced coach coming into the Big Three, like
Yeah,
one of the more experienced coaches. So like to see his coaching style, you know, translate to like helping you guys win, ultimately put you guys in a good
yeah.
situation. That's really cool. Um,
Mhm.
I want to talk about this season a little bit more in depth and like specifically, like it's pretty ironic. Like you came in for Jonathan Simmons after he rolled his
Yeah,
ankle. That's kind of a full circle thought, but you know, you
right.
came in right away, had a couple 20-point outings. Bro, you're
Mhm.
shooting 61% from three right now. Like you mentioned you're a shooter. You're shooting you're
Yeah.
shooting 61%, 11 of 18 on the season. Let me
Hmm.
ask you this. What were you told coming in when you were first signed to 3-Headed Monsters that your role was going to be?
Uh, honestly, coach, hey, CJ and Coach Diaz, they just told me go out there and be you, bro. You a dog, like just go out there and be you, bro. Like just be you, man. and have fun with it, bro, and just be that energized guy and get those rebounds, bro. Like that's what we need most to help protect the rim. So he's like, we need you to be that guy that's coming in and giving that energy, you know what I'm saying, and doing your thing. So I was like, all right, cool. All right, bet.
Yeah, I think good advice. You've helped them win some really close games. This is a team that's, been to the playoffs every single year, like a franchise been every single year, been to the championship twice, just hasn't been able to get over the hump, regardless of who the coaches, the players are. But I think more so like for Rashard, someone like Rashard Lewis, who's been with the team, Mahmoud, who's been with the team for a long time, like I think they are antsy and they're urgent to win it, like to get all the way through and win that chip after being with this league for so long. You've been able to help them snag some big wins, like I said, and put them in a position to succeed. But one thing about your second, I think you had like 21 points in like your second or third game, but it was more impressive because you did something that no one's ever done, which is you played in the TBT at Rucker Park, which that was
Yeah,
new in the TBT. You helped YGC win their first
yeah.
game. Then from Saturday, you take a flight to Dallas, and on Sunday, you suit up there. You're not even rocking your own name or your number. You're just rocking a different jersey. Go out there and ball, hit 21 points, and playing playing a big 3 game as well. That's pretty nuts. Talk to me about that experience, and can you just describe that weekend? How that went down.
Yeah. No, like so I've been telling my guys that I was gonna play for YGC, you know what I'm saying, in the TBT. I really didn't want to play initially because I had lost twice before. But I was just like, man, let me do it, you know what I'm saying, for some of my guys that I'm really close to, some of the guys that I know really well, like Lito. Um, so that day I just wanted to play, bro. Honestly, I just want to hoop, man. You know what I'm saying? If I could, I mean, this week I'm trying to go everywhere else too, but that day I just was like, all right, man. So I think I played pretty well, you know what I'm saying, of getting his stomach and ended up sitting out a little bit more, but we ended up winning and I ended up playing pretty good. And then I was just like, man, I'm not gonna miss out on my money with the big 3, you know what I'm saying? Look, these guys, I've been building with these guys and it's something important to me, you know what I'm saying? And I made a commitment. So I'm definitely gonna go here and I need to be here. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I could think about. And then when I get to the game now, I got my jersey. So on the inside, I'm kind of salty because I'm like, damn, bro, like y'all don't even got my jersey. All right, I'm gonna make sure y'all don't get my jersey again. You know what I'm saying? On the back end, honestly, to be honest. But on the front end, I'm like, all right, bro, I'm grateful to be here. They giving me a chance. You know what I'm saying? And I think, is that the game that Jay rolled his ankle?
No, I think that was a game that
Okay,
you guys
yeah,
were
yeah, so
playing triplets and bro, I think
okay,
that was
yeah,
a game that
yeah,
you
yeah.
like kind of came out firing. You were just like taking it. You were taking a lot of shots. I
Yeah.
don't know if that was part of the game plan or whatever, but you started knocking them
No, it
down.
wasn't. But I just know my dude went down and he important. Like Jay, he gonna hoop. You know what I'm saying? So I had to try to like do something to help because K Murphy killer. He gonna do what he got to do. He the MVP for sure. By the way, if
Mm-hmm.
anybody asking K Murphy for MVP, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, so yeah, and then yeah, so I went to the big 3 and we won, bro. I was just happy we won, bro. I promise you, that's all I be thinking about. Everything else be kind of like within what's going on.
Man, it's just crazy. I don't think a lot of people get the opportunity to play in both, but like, I mean, I'm not speaking on the league or anything, but they probably didn't think that you were going to be able to make it from New York to Dallas in time. And not only did you make it, you had an incredible game, and you helped Three-Headed Monsters win. That being said, you guys are now 6-1. You're at the top of the
Yeah.
standings. You get a week off,
Mhm.
just based on some of the different changes that happened last minute.
Yeah.
And you already have a playoff spot, so you guys are already going to be in Tampa at least. Um, maybe even Atlanta if you guys win that game. But this week, you guys are playing more for like playoff positioning, potentially to be
Mhm.
that number 1 seed going into the weekend in Tampa. First off, let me ask you about playing alongside Kev, because he went from rookie of the year last year to, like you
Mhm.
said, I think it'd be hard to take away the MVP from him at this point. But what's it
Yeah.
like playing alongside like someone like Kevin Murphy? And then like what makes him such like, man, what makes him unguardable at this point? Like it just seems like no one can get in front of
Uh,
him and stop him.
he's just smart, man. He's an intelligent player first and foremost. But you got a burner, nice jumper, bro. It's very because you can't sag off of him, but he's also very strong and a good finisher, bro. It's like and he can finish with either hand. So and he's not gonna stop at all. So it's like choose what you want. You know what I'm saying? So I'm proud of him, and it's like it's good to see him do his thing because we played against each other in the G League before as well. So
Yeah.
we cooking.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
his thing.
And then playing like alongside him, like, it felt like when, let's say, for instance, in that game when you guys were playing against triplets, like you kind of came out like shooting a lot of shots, like you said, helping the team win. But ultimately, it almost felt like that, like, I don't know, unscripted game plan worked to your benefit because at this point now it's like you're making a lot of shots. So
Mhm.
now you can't really double Murph. You can't really like sag off of like someone like you because you'll knock down shots. Rashard will knock down
Yeah.
shots.
Hmm.
I think that's what makes you guys like such a dangerous team, like heading in the playoffs, and which is crazy because I really thought this team would struggle a little bit without Reggie, because he's been such an integral part of what they've done.
Oh yeah, for sure. He's a banger, bro. You know, you're gonna get every board. He's a monster, man. But we've been on. I mean, we've been doing it for the most part. You know what I'm saying? As far as rebounds going, I feel like I've been doing good with the bigs for the most part. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna see what happens, bro. I hope hope is we want to win for sure. Everybody wants to win. You know what I'm saying? But we're
Yeah,
gonna see, bro. We'd be grateful for it for sure.
yeah, and you mentioned talking to Cat, kind of like gathering in a lot of knowledge from him, but you got like a
Yeah.
super experienced, knowledgeable
Hmm.
guy in Mahmoud. What have you learned
Man.
from him, and like what has been like what's his ultimate importance to a team like Three Headed Monsters, where you guys got so many
Oh,
talented players?
probably honestly the most important guy on our team, just because he keeps us together. The stuff that he says in the heat of the moment calms everything down. Um, he's very knowledgeable, bro, and his approach to the game make you approach the game different. You know what I'm saying? Because if our OG approaching the game like this, how can we not approach the game the same way? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Even he didn't play as much last game, and we seen him outside running on. He was running outside on the football field, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro. That made me wanna, you know what I'm saying? Let me go get some extra shots up or something, because he's really locked in. You feel me? Just in life in general. So like, this is like, man, he's just like a great guy and a great example and a great leader. You know what I'm saying? Him and Rashad, really all the guys, honestly. But like him being OG, him for sure got
Man,
big respect.
that's really cool. I don't think I've heard like too many stories about Mahmoud, so that's cool to hear your perspective and what you've been able to learn from him, like playing with him this year.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's someone I'm sure that just wants to like get this chip too. He's been with the
Yeah,
team for so long and put so much time and dedication to this team. So, I'm
yeah,
really
for sure.
pulling for you guys in that regard, while trying to be objective as possible at the same time.
Right. Appreciate you, bro. For sure.
Let me ask you about the mindset going into week 8. I mentioned that you guys are kind of just playing for playoff positioning this week, but 1 seed and a 2 seed could really change who you guys ultimately play. What is the
Yeah.
mindset for you guys, heading into week 8, with the playoffs, right around the corner?
I mean, same focus we have. We of course we want to win. You know what I'm saying? We always going into the game like that, but just to play, go out there and compete at the highest level, bro. We know what we got to do. We got to play. You know what I'm saying? Everybody locked in, bro. As soon as we go in there, we practice and we go over. We got to go over. It's gonna be the same approach, bro, that we've been having each week. You know what I'm saying?
If it comes down to it, you're gonna help Murph get that points record. He needs 26 points to break Joe's single season record. He's been averaging that
Am
this year.
I? Am I? He gonna break that, bro. I'm not even worried about that. That's probably he might break the next game. Honestly, keep it real, bro. But we're just. I'm not gonna put that. I mean, actually, no, I'm gonna put that in there. He gonna break the next game. I hope he breaks it next. I'm gonna try to help him get there.
Nah, that'd be cool. That'd be cool just to kind of cap off the regular season like that. If anybody
No,
could
for
do it,
sure.
though, he can do it.
No, yeah, absolutely.
You talked about camaraderie a little bit with the big three. I've seen that your boys and your fellow alumni, your Baylor alumni is Isaiah Austin.
Yeah,
Sounds like you guys are really close. Maybe even Corey. Corey close with you guys as well. It seems like the whole Baylor family is just close. But what's your
yeah,
relationship with Zeke, and what's it been like to play against him and beat his team? And then it's such a crucial part of the season too.
yeah. I just felt like Zeke. That's my best friend in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like he should have picked me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad to get him out of here. I'm glad to get that dub. You know what I'm saying? And that was like that was at like my first game. After the first game, you got to kind of like get in emotion to things, like understand where the game is going, and then it's like, okay, I got it. So that was like my next game. Is that game was all right? Now I got the rules. Now I'm back into it. You feel me? So it was good to beat them, and that's my guy. The majority of Baylor guys, especially guys like me, Corey, Bobo, who lives in Dallas as well. The majority of our Baylor guys is really close. Especially me and Isaiah. That's my best friend in the world.
Man, that's cool that you get to play with them, but it's also cool that you knocked them off. Like you hit the game winner. I know everyone talks about like the
travel.
The travel. Everyone talks about that, but like it's not a travel.
I don't
they
care,
don't call
bro.
it. Yeah, they didn't call it. So
the foul, first of all, they didn't call it, so it's over. It doesn't matter. And then you guys, Jay Crawford was fouling the hell out of me.
Yeah.
So it's like, and I'm a Jay Crawford fan, by the way. But it was definitely a foul. So it's kind of like you missed the foul call and you missed the travel. It is what it is. But I'm glad to get him out.
A tit for a tat. Yeah, I said the same thing too. Exactly. It's so hard because like we always try to do like a mock show where we're trying to pick where guys will land. I was like, Isaiah's a co-captain this year. Like, no way they leave the draft without Quincy. And sure enough, like I guess he just didn't have enough input in that or whatever the case may be. But like you said,
my boy though.
Yeah,
still my brother, man. I never switch up on my guy. I don't care about that, man. Me and him is bigger than basketball,
I feel that. That's dope though. That's dope that you guys got to probably spend a lot of weekends together too this summer.
Yeah, exactly. I got to see my dude every weekend. I got to see his son is my godson, so it's always good to see him. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's cool. That's cool.
Cool.
Last thing, I again appreciate your time being on the show. But last thing I want to ask about is a little outside the big three. At the end of the day, you're still 29 years old. You're still young. You're in the prime of your career at this point. Ultimately, for you, you're getting a chance to play on a big platform like the big three. But for you, do you still have aspirations of getting back into the NBA? Do you think about taking routes like some of these other vets are? What's kind of your mindset, playing in the big three this summer and kind of like as you head toward the fall?
Yeah, I definitely of course I want to be in the NBA, bro. Like I told you before, it's a 10 out of 10. Like that would be a dream come true, but how possible is that? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? We can see in the future, but I'm taking it day by day, man. But I'm down to do anything. I actually contacted the head of the NBPA, Mario West, and Miss Christian, who I'm very close with recently, because I really want to play in the G League this year. You know what I'm saying? And see what happens from there. But Europe is a different type of animal. But I really want to be here in America for sure, man. Who wouldn't?
Yeah, for sure. Different type of animal in terms of like this or like the actual game.
Everything, man. Everything.
Nah, I feel that. And Mario's former Big Three guy too, so
yeah, he is.
Hopefully he's got that input for you. But
hopefully, we'll see.
Yeah, well, good luck to you guys. Hopefully you get to continue to play on that big stage, and like a lot of people will be tuned in, especially if you're at that championship game. But congrats so far on a good season. Best of luck to you the rest of the year, and appreciate you being on the show. We'll be rooting for you guys.
You already know, bro. It's love. Thank you, man. Appreciate you for having me, dog. Love the podcast, bro. It's been awesome watching.
Man, appreciate that.
You already know, bro. Keep going, dog. Good luck to you too.
All right. That was our interview with Quincy Miller. Thanks again to him for coming on the show, and best of luck to him this week and heading into the playoffs. Again, just been such a critical part of that team without Reggie Evans, and the impact he's made coming right in, having a couple 20-point games. One, I think it shows like maybe someone should have drafted this man. He almost dropped 20 last year for a very broken Bivouac team. So a little surprised he wasn't picked up, but nonetheless, he's showcased that he can play in this league and be an integral part to a team and their winning ways. So best of luck to them and Three-Headed Monsters. I'm sure everyone deep down in the Big Three community is hoping they can finally get one under their belt after making the championship every single year. But thank you to him, and thank you to you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. Again, make sure you're following the show at Fourth Man Pod on social media, subscribe and hit the notification bell on YouTube. And those of you tuning on Dash Radio Nothing But Net channel, very much appreciate you guys, one, for tuning in, and appreciate Dash and the guys over at Nothing But Net for giving us another platform to talk about the Big Three. We just love hoops. I think summertime hoops is on a come up for sure, and I think we just get more leagues coming out, better play. It's been a better product, I think, in the past few years. And so And I think a big three is part of that. So I appreciate you guys for giving us the platform to talk about it. One last thing I want to mention is that we will be in Atlanta for the championship game. We'll be attending as a spectator. I actually got everything kind of worked out. I have a really good friend of mine, a brother from another mother who's having a birthday, a couple of brothers from another mother. Actually, we have put this plan together recently and sporadically, as you might be able to tell by the way I'm explaining this. But nonetheless, everything worked out to where we'll actually be in Atlanta. So I'll be attending as a spectator, but I was able to bring some friends to the Big Three championship game. So it should be a really dope experience. Just for like, I feel like a lot of the times I go to this game, I go with like some kind of media pass. And don't get me wrong, that's a really fun experience. It's interactive, get to meet the guys, get to see the game from up close. But this year going as a spectator, I actually get to bring people with me and sit alongside them and probably talk about shit that they're unfamiliar with, but nonetheless educate them on why the Big Three is such a fun, just a fun time. Like it's a fun league. And I think when you're in person, it's a lot more fun to watch and react to as is like any life experience. So excited about that. And their first experience will all be at a championship game. Like what other league are you getting to do that in? Not too many, so that's going to be really fun. So we'll be in the A for the championship game. We'll be a spectator again, but if any of you guys who are listening to the pod are going to be there as well, first off, it's $25 to go to the championship game for a pretty decent seat, and you get to go to a nice arena in State Farm. So if you're in the Atlanta area or you can get there easily, it's only like, within the vicinity of like 5 to 6 hours, I would recommend getting like a group of friends and just taking a trip to Atlanta, because Atlanta's one, a dope city, but two, get to go to a championship in the Big Three. So that should be a cool experience. Regardless, if you weren't planning on it, I think it's cool to just go to Atlanta. But getting to check out a championship game for $25 is, I don't know, an opportunity that I don't think you get in too many other leagues. So, obviously I know it's on a Sunday, it's kind of later in the afternoon, so maybe it makes it a little tough. But if you're in the vicinity, I say, come on, make a drive through. Especially I've talked to some people that have never been to Atlanta, so I think you should check it out. But again, we'll be in Atlanta for the championship game. Would love to meet up with some of you guys. If any players are listening to this and have been on the show before, would also love to just catch up, say what's up. Maybe if I haven't met you in person, should be a fun experience. And we will maybe see Trilogy two-peat and win their third championship. Will we see like three-headed monsters finally win that first one? Will we see Killer Threes finally win that first one after being there a couple of years ago? Maybe Power wins another one if they make the playoff. Or, hey, here's probably the biggest underdog of them all. Aliens making their first playoffs and winning it all. That would be pretty crazy, but maybe not too shocking because they got a team full of 3-on-3 professionals on there that have been playing this game for a long time and won a lot of FIBA World Tours and Olympic gold. So I don't know. Should be a wild experience. I'm amped for it. But we still have a couple of weeks to get through it. So thanks again for everyone who tuned in. Hope you enjoyed the interview with Quincy Miller, and we'll see you guys next time.